Hello, and welcome to my presentation regarding the online sales of e-cigarettes to our youths, teenagers, and younger children. E-cigarettes are electronic devices with a battery that heat liquid into aerosol or a mist. When this mist is inhaled, this is called vaping. Here we have an individual who is vaping using the electronic e-cigarette. There are many different types of e-cigarettes. The FDA and the CDC have estimated that about 4.1 million high school students, along with 1.2 million middle school students, are vaping across the country. Of the high school students, 25% admit to daily use of e-cigarettes, and of middle school students, 8% admit to daily use as well. Students will tell you that they have their favorite brand of e-cigarettes. One well-known manufacturer of e-cigarettes is a company called Juuls, which is headquartered in California. Users will tell you that there are many different flavors of e-cigarettes. Most users seem to prefer using the flavored e-cigarettes as opposed to non-flavored. The increase in the use of e-cigarettes has led to many serious injuries, respiratory problems, and even death in some users. Due to these adverse health effects, it is absolutely necessary to have some type of regulatory structure to control the online sales of e-cigarettes. There are three learning objectives for this presentation. The first one is to discuss the effects of e-cigarettes on our youths and younger children. The second is to identify the pros and cons of regulating the online sales of e-cigarettes. And the third objective is to discuss the key limitations involved in regulating the online sales of e-cigarettes. Some of the harmful effects of e-cigarettes include burns, which can occur as a consequence of exploding batteries in e-cigarettes, addiction due to the constant use of e-cigarettes, respiratory problems related to irritants that are inhaled into the system, also heart problems, and intellectual problems such as difficulty focusing, concentrating, and even learning disabilities in the future. Bill number HR 3942, which is also known as the Preventing Online Sales of E-Cigarettes to Children Act, is a federal bill that seeks to prevent the online sales of cigarettes, e-cigarettes, to our children. It is also designed with the intention of providing regulatory structure regarding the online sales of e-cigarettes. And it has an included feature that recommends that sellers must do an age verification before selling to buyers. It also includes a further age verification upon delivery of the product. And at this point, there must be someone in person who is 18 years or above to receive the product. This bill was motivated in part by the increased vaping of 12th grade students back in 2017, where they were vaping at a rate of 27.8%, and which later jumped to 37.7% in 2018. This bill was sponsored by Rosa DeLauro, a representative of the 3rd Congressional District in Connecticut. The bill was first introduced on July 24th of 2019. It was introduced to the House of Representatives. On October 16th of 2019, the House of Representatives voted to recommend further deliberation on this proposed bill. On October 28, 2019, the bill was passed from the House of Representatives to the Senate. If this bill is also passed by the Senate, the next step will be for the president to sign it into law. The pros and cons of this bill are as follows. With this bill, there will definitely be a decrease in the use, injury, and deaths of our youths and young children. The bill also strives to fight e-cigarette addiction in our children. Right now, there is concern that the use of e-cigarettes will increase and encourage the use of traditional cigarettes in the near future. And there's also the concern of increased collusion between children and adults, since there is no age verification with the online sales of e-cigarettes. I personally support this bill because I agree that some type of measures should be put in place to control the online sales of e-cigarettes, to reduce access for our children and to prevent sellers from targeting our children. I'm also concerned about the exposure of harmful carcinogens like benzene, formaldehyde, and heavy metals to our children. As nurses, I recommend that we all get involved in terms of health promotion teaching in our schools, educating parents, educating teachers and staff about the harmful effects of e-cigarettes. We can also go out to the community, to churches, to other social events, and raise our voices in reference to the damage that e-cigarettes can do to our children. Financial considerations associated with the implementation of this bill. If this bill is implemented, I can see the manufacturers of e-cigarettes having a major financial problem, because in the event that they do not follow regulatory standards, they can be fined and even imprisoned. Presently, 12 school districts have filed lawsuits against Juul and other e-cigarette manufacturers. These schools are claiming that the increased vaping of students in school has placed a heavy burden on the school financially and has exhausted their limited resources. One school claimed that they spent $40,000 a year in order to hire additional staffs to monitor the hallways, to check bathrooms, and to assist in managing the negative behavior of students who are vaping during school hours. Also, additional money was spent educating teachers and other staff about the negative effects of e-cigarettes and how to identify students who are vaping and require help in the school system. Implications for nurses. Because of the increased vaping across the country, this has placed a heavy burden on the healthcare system. Hospitals and emergency rooms are receiving far more patients, especially young people who are afflicted with problems associated with e-cigarettes. It is at such a high level that patients have to wait because there's not enough professionals to take care of them on a timely basis. But nurses, the advanced educated nurses, can certainly fill this gap by leading out in nurse-led community facilities. In this way, patients can be seen faster because now they have more access to medical care. Patients will also receive quality care, and the cost to the insurance companies will be less. In summary, the increased vaping of our youths, teens, and young children has led to many serious medical problems, especially because there is no form of regulation that requires the seller to check for ID or age verification. However, Rosa DeLauro, a representative from the 3rd Congressional District in Connecticut, introduced a bill that is in the Senate right now, and hopefully that bill will be passed by the Senate and sent to the President so that we can have regulation in place to control the online sales of e-cigarettes and to protect our children, and also to mandate that e-cigarette companies would follow the new regulations that have been put in place.